This is Laura, and on Laura's hair we're going to do the Islander. The Islander is a short, sassy little business cut. It's great for professional women. It's great for moms with children. What we want to do with her today is, what I see on her is her hair is close at the top and kind of flares out at the bottom. What I want to do is change that shape up to where she has a little bit more fullness in through this area. So that's going to be our main focus. I want it to be a wash and wear kind of cut, so she doesn't have to spend a whole lot of extra time with it. The concept behind the Islander was just providing a cut that would be carefree, easy, very, very manageable. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and get her ready to cut. One of the more crucial things with this cut is your sectioning and your part off. You want to be sure that the hair is saturated fairly well, either pre-shampoo or spray it with a water bottle. This cut starts right here in the back. I'm going to comb all this hair directly up. It is also known as an upside down technique. This is going to help to debulk this hair so that it's not as full. It's going to help this hair to collapse. It's a relatively quick technique. In order to get the angle that I would prefer for this to have, I'm going to use my large Bonika C-shaper shears. These shears come in 3 different lengths. To create this cut, it's a relatively quick technique. I'm going to lay these shears directly against the scalp. I want to be sure that I don't go any higher than the occipital bone. So these shears are going to start off right behind at the bottom of the ear, and I'm going to cut this from one side completely over to the other side. I want to make sure that this hair stays up and out of my way. So here we go. Now I'm going to release this hair, and when I bring this down, you're going to notice that it's just allowed this to have a nice little fringy effect. The concept behind this is that short hair pushes long hair. So these nice little short pieces here just help to encourage this hair to come down and wisp around her neckline. Then I will bring this hair from the top and just comb it straight down, and these larger pieces will just fall out. This is a great technique for, again, people with really thick hair, but it works fabulously on finer hair also. Now, when we lift this up, you can see that there's a difference in this cut. This hair is sort of an overlay here. I am going to adjust the length on it also, but first I want to go ahead and move to her side and do the same procedure. This time I'm going to comb this hair straight over to the opposite side. Because I'm using a larger shear, it's important that I use a larger comb. This is a carbon comb. It is non-destructible, and it works very well to help me feel like I'm secure and have control of the hair. On this part of the technique, we're going to use this original cut as the guide behind the ear that I'm cutting to. To establish the guide that I'm cutting from, I'm going to use this little C shape here in the front of her hairline. Now here, at the parietal ridge, which is where the head separates from the flat of the head. If I lay this comb right here, there's an area of the head that's flat. There's also this complete round of the head. The parietal ridge is the roll that transitions between the flat and the round. So my shear is going to lay right on that round, or pardon me, right on that roll at the parietal ridge. So this is going to lay right here. I'm cutting from here to back here. Comb that hair down. I've got a nice little soft, fringy, wispy effect.
Love it.
And then this hair is going to create an overlay over top of that. We need to do the same exact thing on the opposite side of the head. So I'm going to go ahead and begin combing this hair in this direction. And let's have you turn, Laura. Okay, we've moved to the opposite side on Laura's hair, and I want to go ahead and finish this cut or this technique up. Again, we're going to be looking at this as my guide, this section I've already cut behind the ear, and I'm going to cut again into the C section. We found where her flat, roll, and round are. We're going to stay right at the roll part of the head or the parietal ridge. This time, because these shears are so large, I do have the option of flipping them in my hand from this position to cut back. Because they're so large, I feel like I'll have more control if I cut from the back forward. Again, we'll comb that hair down. That'll create our little wispy. And then this hair will fall right on top of that. Now, I'm going to comb all this hair back. We're going to do a little bit of squeeze cutting. I want this cut to have a little bit of a swing forward. I was looking at her jawline earlier, and she's got a really nice angle right here. So I want to kind of continue that. So I want this to go a little higher in the back and swing forward right at her chin line. All right, so I'm going to take all of this hair and squeeze it to the center back of her head. What that's going to do is allow this hair in the front to remain longer because I'm over directing it to the back. I'm going to squeeze it back here with very little elevation because I've got this cut in here and I want this hair to be an overlay over top of this so that this doesn't protrude out of the head form. I'm going to squeeze this together, pull it down, take my shear, put that hair between my shear, and close. Now when this falls, I'm going to have to clean this up a bit, but you can see how we've got that natural angle already started. It's a little bit shorter in the center and falls forward to the side. As I turn her around, you'll be able to see better on this side how that falls. So far we've made 4 cuts and we've created a completely different hair design. I do want this not to be quite as heavy, so I'm going to pull this hair straight down. I'm going to converge it to the back just a little, right behind the ear. Squeeze this hair again and just cut a little bit of that corner off. There we go, perfect, right there at her chin line. I'll go through and clean this up just a bit. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Pull this back, squeeze this hair right behind the ear. And release this corner right there. So that when I release this, we're right at her chin line. I'm going to clean that up just a bit. And then I'm going to check for symmetry. I do feel like I need to release just a little bit more hair on this side. And you can use these curved shears for your perimeter line, even if you're trying to create a straight line, because on the last inch, inch and a half or so, there is a straight line there, so you don't have to switch shears. I'm going to work on this graduation just a bit in the back. I'm going to part this off ear to ear. One of the things that I'm really enjoying about these shears is that I'm able to cut with them concave or convex. So when I'm looking at my shear, and we're talking about facial shape, when the shape is convex, it's more rounded or caves or rounds in. When it's concave, it's more like Jay Leno's face or Mac Tonight, and it tends to want to curve out. On Laura's hair, we're going to go ahead and get into some of the graduation. The tool I prefer to use here are my mid-length C-shapers that Bonika makes. These shears are awesome because I can get in here and use my concave position and my convex with the same tool and be able to initiate this cut so it lays in really nice to the back of her head. I've already sectioned her off from ear to ear. Now I'm going to part this down the center, section this off, move some of the hair out of the way that I don't need yet. Okay, we've got her graduation on the bottom already there. We've established that with the very first cut that we made. So now I just want to take about a 1/2 inch section, pull this hair straight out from where it lives, and just knock a little bit of that corner off. When I lay this shear there, it automatically does what it is that I need for it to do because of the shape of the shear. I'll move over to the right side here, pull the hair straight out from where it lives, take my shear, take it at an angle, and just cut. It automatically puts that shape right there that I'm looking for. Now, because I have a swing forward, I want to pull this hair straight out from her head. I don't want to follow the head shape because I'll start to remove my swing if I do that. So I'm going to pull it straight out from where it lives and just knock that off of there, just to soften this up a bit. I'm going to run out of hair as I get to the side here. And do the same thing on the opposite side, pull it straight out from where it lives, take my shear, lay it in there, and knock that heaviness off, or that point. Same thing here, then once again here. Pulling it straight back, straight out. You can see as that lays in there, and here at the end I'll go in and clean this up just a bit so that this doesn't lay quite as shaggy, but you can see this graduation or this elevation here as it lays in here, how it starts to hug the shape of her neck. I'm going to go ahead and take another section, probably about 1 inch, comb that down. Again, I'm just trying to soften up this line, pull this hair straight out from where it lives. With my C-shaper, go in and knock that corner off. It automatically does what I need it to do here. Straight out and cut or release. Again, pull this straight out. Don't take more hair than what you can handle here. And release. It's taking a beautiful form. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull all of this hair back to see if any of this hair from the front is going to overlay on the back. So just comb it straight back. Pull it straight out. There's just a little bit of an edge there. Take your shear in there and just knock that off. It's just ever so slight, but it will make a difference in the way that lays. Right there. And again right there. I should run out of hair by the time I get to this side. All right. I've got my graduation or elevation in there. You can see how that just is rounded and collapsed really nicely at her neckline. The other thing I'm really liking about Bonika C-shapers is that I can determine how I want my hairline, and I can execute that by the way I lay my shear. So if I want this hairline to kick out from the center, I will lay my shear in more of a concave position. If I want this to be more rounded, then I just flip my shear, or more convex, flip my shear and cut my hairline that way. So you can just see by looking at the shear there, the shape that it's going to take on. So I'm going to comb that down straight from where it lives. I do want it to be more concave, so I'll put my center guide in right here and just kind of follow that around. Still want to keep this soft. I don't want this to be really blunt. Okay, I'm just going to go in and clean up any little corners I have here. Same thing on the other side. Just kind of wispy, messy, easy, breezy design here. And I might decide, a lot of times when I'm finished blow drying my hair is when I'll go in and detail it and see if I want to take more of this out or not, if this is too wispy, if it needs to be a little bit more cleaned up. But I'd rather leave it fringier than not. So the back of this cut is complete. We're going to move to the front. I'm going to comb everything forward at this point. I want to lighten this hair up so it will be more layered and not so heavy through here. She's already got a predetermined fringe or bang. I kind of like the longer bang, so I'm going to go with that as my guide. I'm going to cut that to this piece back here as my second guide. So I'm going to cut from point A to point B. Now, with the Caribbean quick cuts, I'm keeping my shear in the concave position. I'm going to switch back to my longer or longest Bonika C-shaper. I'm going to take about an inch section from either side of the center of her head. Pull this straight up. What I need to release is anything that is between here and here. I'm going to have to bring my fingers at an angle, make sure this hair doesn't fall out of my hand, lay my shear there, and there's my layering. Take another section right beside the center mohawk section, pull it straight up. Now I've already created a guide, I can see behind this, straight up, and cut. I should run out of hair. This should not reach. We shall see. There might be just a little right here. And do the same thing on the opposite side of the head. Pull this hair straight up. I've already established my guide. Using that guide, release the hair. Straight up to the center. And release the hair. I should have ran out of my hair by now. Very cute. We've got Laura back and we've got her styled, and what I would like to do is go ahead and lighten up her bangs a little and maybe take them just a little bit shorter. I'm going to use a technique called a weave bang. And in order to do that, I want to section out her bang section from where she parts her hair. I'm going to push the rest of the hair back. I'm going to need this clip. I'm going to take that, split it in half, put some of it back. I'm just going to pin that back with this clip. Then I'm going to take the remaining hair and I'm going to weave in and out. I'm going to take some up. I'm going to take the thick up, the thin down, thick up, thin down, thick up, thin down, thick up, thin down, thick up. What that does is allows for there to be a few smaller pieces in there. And get just a little piece down here. Now I'm going to take that hair and cut it really short. I'm going to use the baby shears to do that because I'm working with a smaller section of hair. It's a lot easier. I have a lot more control with a smaller shear. So I'm just going to go in there, kind of point cut these tiny little pieces, fairly short. I'm just creating some volume in here. Then I'm going to release the first part of the hair that I had sectioned that thin down from. I'm going to take that part and pull it straight out, actually at a lower elevation. Kind of squeeze it together, go in, and just point cut that up just a smidget, not much, just to lighten that up a little. Release that. Those tinier pieces in there are going to serve to kind of separate this and just to give the bang a little bit more texture. And then I'll release the final section. Pull that straight out and just take off that little point that's right there. Lighten and release this. Much better. Okay, I'm also going to pull these over and cut them on an angle so that this helps just to encourage this hair to go over to that side just ever so slightly. And take that fringe, pull it over towards the part. And then we're going to just knock this corner off. It's actually going to encourage the part side to be just a little shorter. Much better.